The T20 series is done and dusted. It's time for the bigger format. The one-day international starts in a new venue, which is the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. I have Rohan with me, who will be representing Team India, without a doubt about that. But all the way from Sri Lanka, welcome to the show, Viren. I'll start with you, rather, more than Rohan, to be honest. Talk us through what happened in the T20 series. Genuinely felt bad because all the three games, I'll be very honest, it was a massive choke from Sri Lanka's batting unit, especially the middle order. Talk us through game after game and what could have been the thought process.
It's a comedy of errors, Pritham, and I'm trying to find answers to your question as well. And as devout Sri Lanka cricket fans, we've been searching for answers over the past week. Let's take it a game at a time. The first T20, we had a brilliant start by Kusal Mendis and Pathum Nissanka. I thought our bowlers were completely off the mark in the first 10 overs. We made a good comeback courtesy of Patirana and Asalanka in the final 10 overs to keep India down to just over 210. Pathum and Kusal got off to the best possible start. And I think that was a huge weight off our shoulders because we were all expecting Mohammad Siraj to rattle through our top order. But once that curse was overcome, we all thought we were set very well for the closing stages.
But I'm sorry to interrupt, but did that help because that pair was also the openers in the Lanka Premier League as well?
It did help. I think there is that combination, that there is that familiarity between the two as well. And KJP coming in at 3, it's a decent top 3 to have. And I like seeing KJP back in the mix. But I'll be very honest with you. Yes, there was a collapse, but there was a run rate pressure for the batters coming in. They all had to go all guns blazing from ball 1. So yes, that collapse was disappointing because we were in the chase for a good 70% of that run chase, but we were willing to put that aside. Then the second T20, after a near perfect start provided by Kusal Mendis and Pathum Nissanka, and when you've set up very well for the final few overs, and when you have so-called big hitters like Dasun Shanaka and Manindu Hasaranga in your mix, you'd expect to have some impetus towards the end of the innings, which we failed to do, and that was very disappointing. And I won't blame our bowlers too much in that run chase. It was a rain-curtailed affair, and when you need to go at less than 10 and over with all 10 wickets in hand, it's tough to kind of question your bowlers. But then we come to the icing on the cake for me yesterday in terms of this debacle, the complete annihilation and capitulation of the Sri Lankan batting lineup yesterday. Pritham, with no disrespect to any other side, any other member country in the ICC, I'm talking of affiliates, associates, etc. If you give them a situation where you require 21 to win off 22 balls with 6 wickets in hand, you will not send a so-called big hitter to come out and bat at that stage in Wanindu Hasaranga. You will send the likes of...
Absolutely, because you had the captain himself there. Asalanka batted lower down the order. You had come into Mendes as well. You had so many options. You dropped Dasun Shanaka as well. Vikramasinghe batted so well in the Lanka Premier League last phases. He played this blinder of a knocks, and then you send it somebody who is out of form with the bat, Wanindu Hasaranga.
And Pritham, this is my take. With you guys and Indian cricket, you'll breed youngsters. You'll give them opportunities. Look at what Chamindu Vikramasinghe did in the LPL and see what his contributions are in this series. He was not picked for the first game, not picked for the second game. Only picked for the third game was our best bowler by a country mile last evening. And then you ask him to bat when you need 5 off 2 balls. He delivers and takes you to a super over. He gets his job done. But then you discard him from the super over and say, no, you're not going to bat. And you bring back Pathum, Kusal and KJP. And you don't even include him in your ODI squad, which you'll get to later. Where is the consistency? Where are the chances being provided to these youngsters? So yes, Pritham, it was a new low for Sri Lanka cricket. And I'll tell you something, and this is the scary part for me. I don't think this is the end of it. I think the rut can get a lot deeper. And we might see that in the ODIs. I think Cricinfo has put up a compilation of our collapses. They might have to have a few blank spots left for a few more if nothing changes. And by change, Pritham, I mean the mentality of it. It's not a skill factor. I don't think it has to do with skills. You can't be in the position of strength we were in all three games if there was no skill at play. I think, yes, obviously there's a skill gap with the world champions, but I don't think it's as significant as one makes it out to be. It's the mentality, it's the temperament. When India were 58 for 5, they recover and post 131 on a very
Correct.
tough pitch. If Sri Lanka was 50 for 5, Pritam, I remember being at Premadasa when Siraj bundled us out within 10 overs. The same thing would have happened again.
Okay, fair enough. So it was a very, very bold statements by Viren. But coming to you, Rohan, now, he said about his end, but you as well. I think run a ball was required in the last 2 overs. Did you ever think in your dreams that it would be Rinku Singh bowling the 19th over, Surya Kumar Yadav bowling the 20th over to take us to the super over?
Prism, let alone my dreams, I think Rinku himself would not have dreamed that, or any Indian fan. But just to add on what Viren was saying, I think it's a question of confidence also. It's like going near the line and not finishing. I think that's what Sri Lanka is lacking, I feel, honestly. Until that mental state that he's saying, that mentality changes, or at least once if they can get over the line, I think only then that belief will come for them to repeat it again. Until they cross, I think that self-doubt will be there, and we'll keep on seeing such collapses regularly. But for India, I think as Indian fans, just over a month ago, we saw that same equation, 28 of 30, and we had Jasprit Bumrah, Deep, and Hardik ball that final over moments, and we won it. But here we won with Rinku and Surya. I think that's high level of super level performance is what I feel. Because yeah, I can say even Sri Lanka were partly responsible for that, because the pitch was also assisting spin, and if Rinku and Surya were able to turn it, I think bit of a scary thought, you can say, if some regular bowler also bowled like a Washi or someone at the end,
Absolutely.
or even a Kuldeep maybe at times. But end of the day, I think it was a good game for the viewers, as Viren said up at Palikele. Super over, that kind of entertainment. But again, even in the super over, the confidence was lacking, is what I felt. Overall, the body language was down. I didn't see that belief at all. I think even Surya put it well. They were enjoying on field. When do you enjoy? When there is
Correct.
confidence and you have won back-to-back games, you can come back from any situations. That lack of self-doubt was visible in Sri Lanka. They were almost hesitant to either perform, or just that mental scar was there, maybe as old times they have had recently against India, where they're all out for 50s and 70s in the recent past. Maybe that's the factor. I think it's a fear factor within themselves. I think lots of things are happening off field also. I think a combination of whole lot of things. Even the captaincy change last moment with Kushal now to Asalanka in the ODIs, and even I think just a lack of clarity is visible within the Sri Lankan ranks. And top it off, someone like a Shanaka, former player and a power hitter, as Viren said, I think he's not just didn't deliver in this couple of games. I mean, two back-to-back ducks doesn't bode well for him, because there was a lot of responsibility on him, and he just didn't deliver. For India, I think a lot of tick boxes were there which we wanted.
Correct.
Someone like Rian Parag performed, which a batter who was is capable enough to bowl decent enough. I think that's what was a huge talent
Plus
hunt, we
point.
can say. Yeah, and finally we found someone, especially in the subcontinent conditions. Definitely, yeah, ably well supported, I think, from Hardik, who delivered really well. I felt, in spite of whatever has happened, I think you're seeing a different level of Hardik. And more importantly, I was very impressed with Surya, the captain. I think we all know his batting
Correct.
skills, but being calm under pressure. I mean,
Calmly
full-time captain
composed.
for first time. I think that abodes a lot for him, and as well as in the future with the coaching of I think Gambhir. I think if these two as a duo can take Indian cricket forward, because retirements of Rohit, Virat, and Jaddu, I think the new breed is coming in, and only when you're in a good environment, only then that success can be seen. I think moving forward,
Absolutely.
we hope more youngsters get a chance, and they capitalize on these chances to become more better players, as well as the template to be followed in the coming series ahead, I feel.
And Pritam, if
Absolutely. It was a young. Yes, Viren.
sorry, and if you don't mind me just chipping in on one thing about the mental scarring. Had we comfortably aced that run chase yesterday,
Yeah.
I would be quite optimistic about Sri Lanka's chances going forward, and we have some belief and pride about our performances against the world champions. Yes, there's no Jaddu, Kohli, or Sharma, but they've retired. So this is nearly India's first full strength T20 side, potentially minus Bumrah and Kuldeep. But what gets to me, and this is what makes it worse, is that when Rinku and Sky came into bowl, I had very negative feeling about it because I knew if Siraj came in with a runner ball required off the final over, we may have nailed that run chase. And I'll tell you why. With Sri Lankan batters, there's a sense of ego. The minute you bring on a part timer, they're not looking to rotate strike and get singles for the win. You have that ego, that factor that they have to kind of clear the inner ring, clear the boundary line, win it with conviction. And that's what cost us our dismissals. Ramesh Mendis was looking for the long hop. Coming to Mendes was looking to clear the boundary. And we fell into that trap, the trap that was set up perfectly by Sky and Rinku. And if Rinku's over, and mind you, this is after Khalil nearly won the key of Sri Lanka with that over that he bowled with all those extras. If Rinku didn't have a very good penultimate over, Sky wouldn't have brought himself on. I think Sky brought himself on knowing the spin on offer, plus knowing the mentality of the Sri Lankan batters, which was, hang on a minute, we can't let these part-timers dictate. And we fell into that trap.
Yeah, it could be. It could be rightly mentioned because they were trying to hit every ball out of the park, every 12 deliveries, and that could have been the fall of the distances as well because we saw it live yesterday. Thank you so much, Viren, for that. But it's time, let's move on to the ODI section now. We had a lot of discussion about what happened to the T20 ODI squad coming up your way. Here it is starting with Team India and the ODI squad, Rohan. The big names are back, especially the likes of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul back after the World Cup for the first time, Shreyas Iyer as well back. Now comes the thing is that Akshar Patel is there, Washington Sundar is there. So happy to see Harshit Rana first time. I think this is a Gambhir pick, to be honest, from the Kolkata Knight Riders section. How do you sum these players? Because no Hardik Pandya, which ensures that either of Shivam Dube or Riyan Parag plays in the 11. How do you? What could be the template once again for this ODI squad?
I think Pritham, we do know the lead up to the Champions Trophy, India has only 6 ODIs and 3 will be in this series itself. So I think whatever is required for the Champions Trophy, I think the kind of template will be seen here as well. Good to have the experience like for Rohit and Virat there at the top order. I think even having a Shreyas and Rahul will also help because at Premadasa we do know at times it can get difficult to bat on, and especially if you're a new batter coming in, it's not easy to start here. And all the papre music going around. If Sri Lanka get on a roll, it can get tough for any oppositions there. So if you have experience and in the recent past, I think India has had a lot of success at the Premadasa. So I think that will go well to this particular squad. And as you rightly said, the younger guys like Harshit Rana or even a Khalil, or Riyan Parag, all these guys will benefit a lot being under the shadow of Rohit or Virat because they learn a lot and it will only benefit their game because moving forward, these guys will also be taking over the mantle. And these guys have shown enough skill in the IPL as well that they have they don't have any fear. We saw Riyan Parag playing those big hits against someone like Asalanka. Even when the score was 50 odd for 5, he was brave enough and smart enough to deal in ones and twos and build that partnership with someone like Shubman. So I'm seeing more maturity coming into these kind of players, and only when such situations come up, that's when these guys will grow and become better players. Even in the one day setup, I feel these guys, given the right kind of opportunity and the situation, I think it will only improve their games coming up towards the Champions Trophy as well. As you rightly said, no Hardik. So even a Dubey or a Riyan, one of them can definitely be in your middle order, the power hitter kind of role that he performed, as well as bowling a few overs here and there. I think Colombo will definitely help the slow bowlers, as we have seen in the
Yeah.
lots of in the past as well. But I'm
Yeah.
very looking forward to see how Washington Sundar does because he did exceedingly well in the Zimbabwe series before that. Even in the 30-20, he held his nerve bowling those spell as well as in the super over. So he's a kind of a
Super
guy.
over as well. Yeah.
He bats bit in the lower order. He doesn't get enough chances with the bat. He has not realized his potential. I feel the one day game giving you a longer duration. I think he can kind of step up and fulfill
Spend
his
some
task.
time at the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. And others, I think they'll be pretty happy that someone like Siraj again back to Colombo will be a fairy tale for him. I know as a Sri Lankan fan, you may feel like not again, but there's that sometimes you love certain opposition to do well. Same with Kuldeep. I feel at Colombo he can be equally potent there. I think India has a very balanced squad. I think everyone will get their go in the 3 matches. If in case we are leading 2-0, I'm pretty sure the final game you'll see a lot more chopping and changing.
Okay, so absolutely, I expected that to be at the end because it's series 3 match series. If India wins 2-0, if which is expected, then we might see a lot of changes in the final ODI. Coming to Sri Lanka now, more or less the same side. A couple of shocking names missing here with it. No Dasun Shanaka, no Kushal Pereira, also Vikramasinghe. Samana Vikrama is back as well. So if you can sum it up the squad as well, what are your expectations from this one?
Um, and this is where I go back to the T20 series. Had we won yesterday, Rohan spoke about the feel-good factor of Premadasa. When you have a jam-packed Kettarama stadium with 25,000 Sri Lankan fans, it can be a nightmare for any opposition. And this is why this first ODI is going to be crucial, Pritham. I know friends and family members, etc., who have tickets for the first ODI who aren't going now after yesterday's debacle. But if we win that first ODI, uh, by any margin. Come Sunday at Kettarama, you're going to have a full house. And that will be Sri Lanka's chance with that home advantage to try and push for something. In terms of the omissions, I'm not surprised. Dasun Shanaka has had a poor 12 to 18 months with the bat, and I think it's time he starts to prove himself. Charmika Karunaratne deserves his spot. He was brilliant in the LPL. Many fans and pundits were alike were critical of his omission for the T20 World Cup as well. Many of them see him as a better bowler than Dasun Shanaka and as someone who is consistent with the bat as a big hitter towards the end. Sadira has been brilliant for us at number 4 over the past 12 to 18 months in this format. You remember that knock against Pakistan in the World Cup. You remember that Asia Cup run. Yes, people think about the final of the Asia Cup and think that Sri Lanka put on an embarrassing display. But getting to the final was a feat. We beat Pakistan, etc. Sadira was a linchpin there. And a man to watch out for, Janit Lianage, has had a brilliant start to his ODI career. In that series whitewash against Afghanistan here, he was the player of the series, batting at number 6, posted 350 plus totals, is able to accelerate when required. So, and it's nice seeing Nishan Madushka, who has only been a test player for Sri Lanka for the most part of his career, being included now in the ODI setup. It's nice to see our pace department back in full flow. Dilshar Madhushankar, Matisha Pathirana, etc., to lead the pace department alongside Asita Fernando. Nice seeing Akhil Dhananjaya back in the mix, and I think the reason we brought him back is because Mahesh Deekshana has not been in the best form, both for CSK and for Sri Lanka over the past 12 months. So Akhil Dhananjaya comes in as cover, and you'll see a lot of Vellalage in this series. I think someone to watch out for. Has a feel-good factor against India. Rohan spoke about a feel-good factor for Siraj against Sri Lanka. I think Vellalage has performed amicably and very well against India. It'll be nice to see him performing at Premadasa. I would, I mean, yes, we've put on a few debacles and have shambolic displays, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sri Lanka latches on during that first ODI. If we somehow end up on the winning side, it's going to be a tighter series than one expects. Because at the end of the day, this is a balanced side. This is perhaps the best side we can have on paper. Yes, Chamindu Wickramasinghe should have been given the nod, but I think they don't want to dump him in the deep end across formats against India. They've given him an opener against in the T20s. I won't be surprised if we see him in the Test squad going to England. But people forget that Sri Lanka, our Test team is very stable. Our Test team is quite well suited to playing across conditions. But yes, this is the format where we struggle the most in with T20 cricket. There's something about the white ball, Mohammad Siraj, Kuldeep Yadav and co. that gives our batsmen nightmares. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what our combination is like. But again, Kusal Mendis, Patum Nisanka in the form of their lives, they need someone else to chip in the middle order. And if one or two batters can click in the middle order, it's going to be an interesting series.
Okay, so fair enough. So you have given your say for this one. The ODI squad of Sri Lanka is done and dusted. Let's take a look at the last 5 times India and Sri Lanka met in the ODI games. What were the results? Couple of humiliations we remember for Sri Lanka in the World Cup at Wankhede, in the Asia Cup final against Sri Lanka in the final as well, 10-wicket victory, and then the 3 ODI series against it was a clean sweep. 5-0 apparently. Rohan, can it get worse? Can it be an 8-0 in this series?
Possibility is there, Pritham, but thing is, no. Even though in the T20s the scoreline reads 3-0, it was closer than it actually was. Right, Sri Lanka had the chances. They messed up because of the collapses of the middle order. Even in the ODIs, I feel they will have the chances. It's just that will they hold their nerve and get
Correct.
across the line? If they don't, I think I'll see a similar kind of a downfall. Because let's be honest, at home, Sri Lanka are a formidable team. They have done well. They have know-how of the conditions and even the skill factor of all these batters, Patum Nisanka and the other guy, Kushal Mendes. I think they're all fantastic players, good touch players, and they can go on to make those big hundreds. I feel it's just that can they pick the right shot selection? All those matters because Indian bowlers are wicket-taking bowlers. They know how to pick you wickets at any phase of the game. Even in the T20s, though Sri Lanka were far ahead, India picked wickets to come back into the game. In the ODIs also, I feel someone like a Siraj or a Kuldeep will pick you wickets at the right time to put that breaks. It's just that with Sri Lanka has that wherewithal to overcome that and build a partnership and get to that par score or whatever the target is. It's just that uh, crucial moment if
Yep.
Sri Lanka can overcome. Or else I'll see this pretty much as you rightly said, another 3-0 white walls and add on to this five big victories. But it will be a close series, is what I feel. It's just that crucial moments who holds their nerve and crosses the line.
Absolutely. The confidence was missing in the T20 series for Sri Lanka. As Viren rightly mentioned, if they would have won the game yesterday, things would have been different. But let's take a look into the captains and the coaches' corner for Sri Lanka and India. We have started off with a whitewash in the GG era under the leadership of Surya Kumar Yadav. It should be Rohit Sharma here. But Asalanka and Sanath Jayasuriya here. I want to ask you, Viren, as well. Asalanka, Sanath Jayasuriya, what's your take on this one? First time, if I'm not mistaken, Asalanka leading the side for the first time in the ODI format. So Sanath Jayasuriya as the interim coach, ODI format. What's your take?
I remember telling you this during the pre-show ahead of the T20 World Cup. Charith Asalanka has been a leader across age groups for Sri Lanka. He was Vanindu Hasaranga's school captain as well at Richmond College, was Vanindu Hasaranga's under-19 captain in the national team. And I want him to have time to groom himself as a leader. I think he has the credentials, the pedigree to be a decent leader. And we see him yesterday acknowledging both victory and defeat in the same light. Yes, for us as Sri Lankans, it's very easy for us to be very annoyed with the team. But I'm sure the team is hurting as well. I'm sure the team is embarrassed by the performances they put up. And it's important that the team now rallies together, puts these T20s aside. For you guys, for India, winning has become a habit. For us, losing as of late has become a habit. All we need is one victory to turn that in our favor. And we won't be having these collapses that we've had over the past three games. I'll give Asalanka time in the limited over series. I mean, facing the world champions in T20s in India and the runners up who should have been world champions in India in the ODIs it is a tough proposition in the very first series. So we'll give him time, even if this is a 3-0 whitewash. I don't want there to be rash decisions for him to be the scapegoat. He has to remain as our ODI captain going forward. For Sanath, I mean, interim coach, he's not here for long. He won't be here for long. But that's a shame because usually your series against India and your away series against England should be your two marquee series in any calendar. And I would have liked to have seen Chris Silverwood being in the realms at least for the next two series until we appoint a full-time coach. But there's a feel-good factor with Sanath Jayasuriya. He has a good rapport with all the players. We saw that in the dugout throughout the series. He's someone well respected by the players. He's been there, done it before. And I think that will take us forward at a time when morale is low, team spirit is low, team confidence is low. I don't think you'd want anyone else but the master blaster in the dugout to get you to think a tad differently. So that is my only wish for Sri Lanka.
Surprised that Sanath Jayasuriya is there, but not his lookalike. No Kushal Pereira in the 11. But yes, Rohan, over to
Yeah,
you.
just want to say to Viren, I mean, unless Asalanka starts getting runs, I think that's where the real test of his captaincy is. Even he didn't perform in the three T20s. I think once he start getting runs, I think that confidence
Yeah.
will be seen on his, I think, say more confident decisions that he can make on field, and even his body language. I think was a little bit down because of maybe lack of runs and a couple of defeats. I think once he starts scoring runs, I think that what do you call that presence and aura of a captain will be seen around him because, as you rightly said, he has the talent. It is just executing on field. I think that will in turn show in his overall demeanor.
The curse of captaincy with Sri Lankan cricket continues.
But also I wanted to ask you, where is Bhanuka Rajapaksa? He played a blinder of a
LPL.
knock in the final of the LPL. Where is he missing now?
I think Barnacul's career, the rest of his career, might be only confined to T20 cricket. I think it's important that he gets a gets a go in the next T20 series. I was surprised that he was omitted. He had a brilliant LPL. He should have been in the squad for the three T20s. But the issue with Barnacle when it comes to the longer formats is fitness, and and that is and I think for the first time in his career, age is not on his side as well. If you're looking for the next cycle, we don't have the Champions Trophy to worry about. So it's the next World Cup in 2027 that we have in the horizon. So it's important for us to look at players who will potentially be in their primes come 2027. And unfortunately, maybe that is why players like Dasun, Banuka, etc., KJP as well, Kusal Janit for that matter,
Yeah.
maybe towards the twilight of their careers come 2027, hence their omissions.
Okay, could be. So you have said about your players as well as the coaches. Let's take a look into the fixtures of the ODI series. Rohan, here it is. Three-match ODI series starting at 2:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time as well as local time at Colombo. Starting on a Friday, as Viren said, if Sri Lanka win the first game, then we can expect a packed stadium on Sunday. But I think India going, Virat Kohli is there, Rohit Sharma is there. I'm anyways expecting a packed stadium. But what could be the template for GG in an ODI format to start proceedings? Play freely, without pressure. Everyone has to bowl.
I think they will play freely anyway, Pritham. It's just that once, like we saw in the last game of the T20, when you're playing freely and in case you have a loss of couple of wickets, then how you recover? I think that's what India is trying to get to understand themselves, put themselves in some tougher situations, and get the better of your. So-called fringe players, get to know what the skills they have and their temperament. I think that's what the skill is being tested out, because we know even if it's huge run chase there or anything happening, someone like a Virat Kohli is always there for you to put you across the line. So I think these guys are not there. I think they know their bigger goal will be Champions Trophy, how they can perform there. So once Rohit or Virat they starts getting their runs, I think you'll see them more playing more freely anyways.
Yeah,
So someone like Shreyas Iyer back after all the controversy or whatever that happened, I think how well Shreyas can answer a few of your critics or the people, I think that will be more focused on. And of course, KL after that World Cup
correct.
final is coming back even after injury as well. So I think these two guys in the middle order, I think they'll be more the focus will be on those guys because we do know what a Rohit and a Virat bring as well as Shubman now. So the middle order, how they perform, say even Rian or Shivan Dubey gets an opportunity, how they do. The lower order runs like Akshar, Washi, how they can perform. I think all those things will be equally more important for India moving forward
Yeah.
because Colombo, we do just spoke about it. Once you are set, you can score those big runs easily. But starting out new for new batter is always difficult under the conditions. You can't forget the humidity factor as well in Colombo. It can drain you out pretty much. I know for Indian team it's such. You can imagine for the Western nations what it will be. So I think fitness also will be a key role. I'm not sure about the dew factor in Colombo as such, but definitely rain chances will always be there at this time of the year. But for India, it will be like whatever goals or small or long-term goals that they have set. If those things can be given a big tick, I think the results will take care of itself. It's just that as a team, as a group, what's the way forward? If all those things can be achieved, I think Gambhir would have done his job pretty well as well as this Indian team.
Okay, fair enough. So you have said about the Indian team. What could be the template set? We'll take about Colombo. Virat Kohli is 116 runs short of 27,000 ODI runs as well. The record can be broken in this series as well. Probably he's a man who makes his own records, to be honest. Let's take a look into the pitch reports and the weather update. Viren, it's time for you and your expertise. Colombo is the stadium who's going to host the three ODI series. Weather chances says 58% chances of rain on the first ODI, 72-69 as the tournament as the series progresses. Chances are there as Rohan expected, but you are the best man to explain how can the pitch play in a day-night game. We have seen it before as well, but if you're given the captain's hat, is it you have to bat first?
There's one certainty about life in Sri Lanka. We never trust the weather reports and we never trust the Met department here. Yes, I don't expect any of the games to be washed out fully. I think you will have cricket, on all 3 days. Hopefully, weather permitting, you should have full games. Looking at Premadasa, during the early parts of the LPL leg in Premadasa, it was a very good wicket. And having been there live to watch the LPL final, I was there seeing Riley Russo
Yeah.
take goal to the cleaners. It's a brilliant batting strip and perhaps the best batting strip I've seen at Premadasa for a long time. But I think, yes, as the series progresses, depending on whether they play it on the same strip, it can slow down. The spinners will come in handy in the second and third game. And when it comes to dew, the dew factor was quite prevalent in the LPL, in the final stages of the LPL, potentially to do with the climate at this time of the year as well in Colombo. So win the toss, have a ball, and you should have conditions that are slightly better for batting under lights. And I think that should be the template for both teams throughout the series. The boundary dimensions will be a tad big, wider slash larger than the LPL. But at Premadasa, totally in excess of 260, 270 is, I think, important when you're batting first. And it gives yourself a good crack at defending it. So yeah, I think that is what the template should be for both teams. Win the toss, try to set the other opposition in for a bat, and then defend under lights, and hopefully the dew comes into play as well.
Okay, that's basically the pitch report, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it from his mouth. Sit back and enjoy this game. It's time to let's go on to the predicted playing 11. Starting with Team India, here comes the controversies. Rohan, here is my playing 11. Shuman Gill, Rohit Sharma, my openers. Virat at 3. Shreyas at 4. Rishabh at 5, just because we do not have a left-hander in between. Riyan Parag at 6. Akshar Patel at 7. Kuldeep at 8. Harshit Rana, Siraj and Arshdeep, the other 3 pacers for me. 6 bowlers, including Riyan Parag. What are your changes?
No, I'm happy that you included Pant there because lots of spotlight again on him because KL is back. As you rightly said, you need a left-hander at the top of the order just to balance it out. Akshar also can do a job as you've seen in the recent T20
Yep.
World Cup there. Akshar can be a floater there in case of a collapse. He can always chip in. But Harshit Rana straight away, I'm not sure whether he'll play because there is someone like
Because there's an
Washi.
option between Harshit Rana or Khalil Ahmed as a third pacer.
I'll say even someone like a Washi will be a good addition because
Okay,
it's
so you're going with
Colombo.
2 pacers only.
Yeah, I mean, in case we have Shivam Dubey there, in case of
Yeah.
Parag, he can also chip in. But because it's Colombo, it's the heat factor. I don't think three seamers will be required. You can have a lot more spinners. You can get to the overs quicker and lesser energy spent. Because someone like Riyan Parag can also chip in there. Never sure if someone like
Who
Virat or
is it?
Rohit
Where is
also
it?
may
Where
say
is
because of
it?
Rinku and Surya's success, they may say even we'll start bowling a bit of spin though. So never know to have a good fun factor there. But I think giving this batting depth will also increase if someone like Washi is coming in. I think that's the thing that India recently was wanting, right? The depth in batting so that the top order can play a bit more freely and score those extra runs to give you that cover up. So I think this pretty much is good. And during the course of the series, I think we'll see the changes,
Changes.
whatever is whoever is on the bench, I feel.
Fair enough. So he goes for Washington Sundar. Not straight away a debut for Harshit Rana. He's going with 2 pacers and 3 spinners, including Parag as the 4th one. Let's take a look into Sri Lankan 11. Viren, I come to you now. I've tried my best to have a very good side for Sri Lanka in the ODI format. Pathum Nisanka and Kushal Mendil, I stick to them as my openers. Avishka Fernando, I think he has had a wonderful Lanka Premier League. At number 3, Sadira Samarvikram at 4, Charith Asalanka at 5, Kamindu Mendil at 6, Asalanka, Dulit Bendalage at 7 and 8 with the 3 paces. Talk us through about it, please. Even I have kept aside Manish Dikshan.
Yeah, I think it will come to the level of batting depth that Sanath and Charith want to have. With your predicted 11, we have brilliant batting depth all the way up to number 9, which might be important because of how fragile our middle order has been as of late. Uh, with that fragility in the middle order, you need to bat long and bat deep. So I think it's
Yep.
good to have this combination. But if Sri Lanka wants to be a tad riskier and a bit more potent with the ball, I won't be surprised if either, depending on conditions, if Charmika um, is dropped in place of Asita Fernando, purely because of the bowling prowess he brings in. If Sri Lanka doesn't want to have much batting depth, and I think that will depend a lot on that first ODI. If someone like an Avishka Fernando or a Savir or a Charith can come into form alongside Kamindu Mendes, you then have that squad in place. A definite change will be having Janik Lianage batting at 6. I think that's
Okay.
something that we'll definitely see. And I think it'll be a toss-up between Kamindu Mendis and Avishka Fernando for that number 3 slot. I will also maybe slot in someone like Nishan Madhushka, and that's where Sri Lanka will experiment in the
A lot
series.
of options, to be honest. A lot of all-rounding options, to be
Yeah,
honest, for Sri Lanka.
a lot of options to take in at number 3 as well. It'll be either Kamindu, Avishka, or Nishan Madhushka batting at number 3. And I think that will be the combination they look at. I won't be surprised if Kusal Mendis is also experimented at number 3. We've seen him bat at number 3 in ODIs as well. So a lot for Sri Lanka to think about when it comes to that top order. But it's that middle order that I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
If that middle order shows confidence, then you can experiment and bring in like a Tikshana, an
yeah.
Akila Dhananjaya, or an Asita Fernando in place of Charmika.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are a lot of options to be taken for Sri Lanka, and this is the best possible playing 11 as Viren confirms. Let's take a look into the predictions. Time now. Predictions time. ODI series 3 match. I'll start with Viren first. You seem the person that is a little bit nervous about the series. 3 match predictions. What's your predictions for this one?
Do you want my optimistic, patriotic take or my realistic take?
The realistic take, please.
The realistic take is obviously anything other than a 3-0 win to India would be an upset in my books with the form they're going in. But my optimistic, patriotic take is relying on that first ODI. If we can find our groove, our mojo, our confidence back in that first ODI, plus you have the factor of having Sanath in the dugout, plus a team buoyant in terms of confidence after beating India in an ODI. Come to Kettarama on Sunday in front of a jam-packed Kettarama, and anything could happen then. I wouldn't be surprised if we sneak away with the series, but that's me being overly optimistic. I won't be surprised if we're having this chat post the series and talking about 3 batting collapses and speaking about Sri Lankan
Don't
batters
want
not
to.
fighting.
We as Indians, we do not want to. We want to see you play good cricket. Rohan, Viren says a 3-0 maybe. He still goes by game after game. What's your take on this one? What's your predictions?
Honestly, a 3-0 looks likely, Pritham. But you know what? As Viren said, just for the cricket's point of view, you want to close a series. If Sri Lanka even win one, I think that will be a 2-1. Will be a much fairer result for the teams, I feel. But just to say to Viren, in case India loses a game, the first one or second, you always seen this team come back stronger and give
Yeah.
you a much more harder performance. So be ready for the backlash also from the team. This is what
Rohan,
we have seen.
Rohan, I'm just trying to cling on to any hope I have left
I know,
at
I
this
know, I
point.
know. I completely agree. No, but I'm saying, giving you a warning that in case you win one, the next game may be even more tougher. So this is the kind of team that this is, or else you feel that more fun, fun-loving team on field where teams will get more closer games. I think that will be more fun to watch rather than maybe even a close loss for India. I think the backlash here is even worse. They expect us to win even the toss also. You won't believe that. A strike rate will be talked about. If someone gets out to 90, they'll say he hasn't scored 100. Even if he scored one in the last game, they'll keep criticizing. You know whom I'm talking of. So there's the
So
equation between
Rohan,
the
so
current
Rohan,
coach.
that's the difference in terms of expectations, right? When you have an
Yeah,
elite student in your class, you expect them to get A stars. Our kids
exactly.
here in Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan cricket team is just trying to barely pass. We're trying to get to that 40% mark, and that's all we need.
No, Viren, that's what sport is. It should be more enjoyable for everyone to watch.
Exactly.
You put too much
Spot on.
pressure. These are the things you seeing a lot of negativity on it, which you don't want in even any sport. To be honest, sports person are there to the job. They represent the country. Give them that
Correct.
respect and the space to deliver their best. Because end of the day, it's a small career they have. Just a part of their lives. They are going out there as entertainers. Let's as fan also entertain. Yes, we can criticize, but let's not get into abuse or trolling level to a bad extent. Let's support them,
Correct.
especially when they're down. I think that's when you need to show your character as fans to support them and encourage them to come back stronger the next games. I think this is what we have seen in India. I think someone like Virat has led that charge when we have seen certain opposition players being booed around. I think he's the first one to come out and
Correct.
ask the fans to
He
stop
did it
such
for
kind of
Hardik as
abuse,
well.
be
So
it
yeah,
Hardik or even
absolutely.
Steve Smith
Yeah,
a few years
there
ago,
you go.
all those things. I think as sports people, you are the same community, and even for fans, irrespective of which country you belong to, I think we need to grow up a bit more and be a bit more empathetic towards any players. I feel so. End of the day, I feel it will be a Indian victory. The margins may only differ. I feel that's it, but. I think we love to see our stars do well, but we want a good, clean contest
Good
from the
cricket.
opposition as well. Let's have a good contest and may the best win, man.
Absolutely. So one game at a time for both the guests. No series predictions. 3-0 is the obvious they are expecting, but we'll see that. Let's hope Sri Lanka plays to the potential.
Yeah.
India as well. Good game of cricket. The 3T20 ODI series as well. Thank you so much, Rohan. Thank you so much, Viren, for joining the show. What a big and massive preview show we had. Thank you so much to both of you. Thank you to all the viewers for watching this one. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fifth Umpire. Press the bell icon as well. So thank you so much, and bye-bye.